Okay. Okay, Alex, can you tell us about your role and your journey?
I currently am a third grade teacher at Piper Creek Elementary in Piper, Kansas, or Kansas City, Kansas. Um, my journey to be a teacher was um, not really expected when I started going to college. I wanted to be a dietitian. Then I had a kid, and that kind of changed a lot of different things. Um, but I think one of the reasons why I stuck with it is it's kind of reflecting on my childhood. I was born in El Paso, Texas. My parents were young, so my father joined the military, and I lived in Alaska for a bit, where I didn't really get exposed to, um, you know, all my Mexican side of my family after I was 6 years old. Then, my parents got divorced, and I went back to El Paso for a bit. Uh, and it was kind of like my first exposure to like who I am. I was in fifth grade and realizing that I'm, not. I thought I was a Mexican kid, but my family didn't really necessarily see me as the Mexican guy that I've always been portrayed as. It's kind of the white Mexican, and um, so it was really hard for me to find like my place there. But then I went to my mother ended up joining the military, and I went to Georgia, and that was my middle school, and I saw a lot of um, like immigrants coming in, and I didn't speak Spanish as fluently as them, so I didn't really relate to those kids, and I was a new kid, and I didn't really have a place with white kids or black kids, and I felt like an outsider. Um, so like that is kind of like my push as an educator. When I first signed on, I wanted to teach inner city because I know most most inner city kids, at least in this area, are predominantly kids of color, and I wanted to kind of like help with with all those thoughts and those feelings when it comes to like how they feel about who they are, and talking about their and you know having conversations about like their experiences and their journey on like what it looks like later on. I work right now in a you know a, say an affluent white school, and this year has been a big surge on uh, kids of color, not necessarily Hispanic, but a lot of like Asian descent, and I find myself like relating to them a lot. How they don't always speak their mother language, and I can relate to that, and I always, when I can, if those moments ever are available, I help talk about like what that means, and that it's you still have value too. I guess I don't know if that made sense. I hope it made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I love that you can relate to all students based on, like your journey and everything. I think that's awesome. So I will share that you were nominated by Amber Book. Um, and so she wrote some really great things about you, which I will share with you after the interview. But what does it mean to you to be nominated for this award?
Uh, I guess by Amber, I I would feel like it means something more than somebody who's not in the field of relating with kids and making moves to uh, have have people be aware of cultures and their identities, and like who they are, and how representation is important. Like not many people understand that in my district. So I Amber's saying it, then I probably means the most it would mean from uh, any other faculty member. I I trust that she believes it rather than just it's something that's just given because I'm the only uh Chicano teacher.
Yes, absolutely. When you read the things that she said, she absolutely believes it for sure. So data shows that representation matters in schools. What impact do you see yourself having on your students, and why do you think Latinx teachers are important?
I think that they're important because it's not very common. I've taught in 3 different schools, and I I haven't seen a classroom teacher in the elementary level, um, part of the Latinx community. And there's a lot of students that are in the Latinx community, and they don't get to see themselves in an authoritative role, um, especially in an authoritative role that's there to guide them in a positive way and teach them the other things. Um, I think kids kids see other people or see adults, and it helps with those dreams that they want, and they find ways. I feel like it builds more trust in kids to believe the things that we're saying, because there's a shared bond.
Absolutely, I agree. So my last question for you is, what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated and going back to the work that
Um,
you do?
the there's not many, uh, you know, not only Latin teachers, but there's not many staff of color in my district. And if I leave, like, who gets to have those words with those kids? Who gets to start a foundation, start those conversations with the other staff in the building? Who gets to help them with that? Um, so trying to stop the cycle and provoke change. That's what I want. That's what keeps me going.
That's the goal, right?
That's the goal.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to share?
I don't know what else to share. I This is,
Yeah,
first time doing things like this. I don't know what's pertinent, what's not important.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I know that based off some of the things that Amber had shared, that the work that you're doing is very important. And so I just want you to know that like we appreciate it and we see you. And I know especially in those districts where, it's hard for your students and hard for you to, you know, have that possibly isolation when it comes to like being able to relate to certain things. So